Hare Krishna, good evening.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Nana Shastra Vijayana Kanipuna Sadharma Samstapako Lokana Mitakarinu Tribhuvane Manyo Saranya Karo Radha Krishna Padaya Vinda Bhajana Nande Namataliko Vande Upasanatana Raghuchiro Chiti Bhagopalako. Offer my respectful obeisance unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Sanatana Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizing and studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing the eternal religious principle for the benefit of all human beings. Thus they are honored all of the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. So we have heard until now in the Nectar of Devotion about the characteristics of pure devotion, the purity of devotional service. And then we started to discuss how to discharge devotional service, discussing 64 items. We discussed the 21st, and now we will discuss the offenses in devotional service. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatarani. So first, we will discuss now these offenses. Most offenses, they are related to deity worship. So we see here, just on the screen, Srila Prabhupada with Jagannath. That this was in San Francisco. That I think it was San Francisco, and Srila Prabhupada just introduced the worship of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra. And one Sunday, it was nice weather. The devotees decided to bring Jagannath to the park, Golden Gate Park, I think. That, and you see this famous picture where they are dancing around Jagannath. But Srila Prabhupada was very surprised. He said, you cannot bring Jagannath outside the temple. Jagannath only comes once a year with Ratha Yatra outside, otherwise he stays in the temple. You cannot do that. And it chastised them severely. That, so it's not just that you can say, on my own initiative, oh, I'm bringing Jagannath outside, and I'm going there, or this, that, or I bring Gauranitai outside for some purpose. No, it should not be done. The deity worship is done according to authorities. That you should be very careful with that. The deity is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not that we decide what he's going to do. So, because if we act just out of ignorance, and whimsically, we will perform offenses of apparat. What does apparat mean? That two words, appa and rada. That it means what takes us away from rada. What does rada represent? It's Krishna's internal potency, spiritual energy, and especially its Ladini Shakti, its pleasure-giving potency. Because devotional service, if we become pure, then it connects us with this Ladini Shakti directly. And then we feel ecstasy. That even in the covered states during Anartha Nivritti, already we feel some satisfaction that's coming from an inspiration that comes from this Ladini Shakti. But if we perform apparat, we become disconnected from that and we lose taste in the execution of our devotional service. Therefore, it's so important to avoid offenses. In this chapter 8 of Nectar of Devotion, there are offenses to be avoided. Srila Prabhupada first describes 32 offenses which are mentioned in supplementary Vedic literature. It seems that Rupa Goswami collected them from there. And then he mentions 32 offenses in deity worship from the Varaha Purana. And at the end of the chapter, he mentions the 10 offenses against the holy name. So we will go over some of them, the most significant. But first, we will go deeper in trying to understand what is this apparat. So here it disconnects us with this Ladini Shakti and we lose taste. So what is more dangerous is this apparat of papam. Apparat that offenses or sinful activities. Apparat is more dangerous. And why? At least that is from the viewpoint of bhakti. Apparat is more dangerous. Because you have, on a material level, you have papam and punya, sinful activities or pious activities, and the reaction is material pleasure or material suffering, that it brings us down to the modes of rajas and tamagun, ignorance. So they are on the material level, but apparat is directly anti-devotional, and therefore it's more dangerous because apparat, when we perform sinful activities, then we get reactions, okay, and we have to go to it. But apparat takes us away from Krishna and we lose the taste. Therefore, it's very important to avoid apparat and not bring the deities outside if that is not mentioned in the scriptures. We have to be careful with that. Everything must be confirmed by the scriptures. So, what does mean an offense? An offense means we disrespect what has to be respected. It's taking what is spiritual to be material. I give you an example that Srila Prabhupada said, if we are not inspired, not see the deity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the deity will become a burden for us. That, because deity worship means discipline. You have to get up in the morning early to attend Mangal Arti at the time prescribed. That's for all devotees. During the day you can sleep whatever you want, but you should be at Mangal Arti. That's the auspicious beginning of the day. It starts with seeing God in the deity. It's very important. I know my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Charan Maharaj, he was in Malaga with a devotee. And on 2 o'clock in the night, they were making a walk at the beach. And they came back in the temple. They came back with a servant who was walking with him. And the servant went to sleep, and Maharaj was at the Mangal Arti. And he chastised his disciples. Said, you should not go to sleep, you should attend Mangal Arti. That whatever. Because otherwise, we think, yes, we sleep and I will do the puja when I want. That is not deity worship. We are the servant of the Lord. There are timings in this deity worship, auspicious moments, and that has to be respected. It is a responsibility. Otherwise, if we are focused on our own I and mine, then it becomes a burden. It becomes a burden, and the deity is just there to facilitate us. That's offensive. That's a signs of inappropriate moods. So, therefore, the first thing is we respect the deity as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we worship the deity according to the regulations of the scriptures. These regulations of the scriptures are Krishna's regulations, how to worship him, how we want it. So this respect arises when we take what's spiritual to be material, what's divine to be mundane. Now, how to avoid offenses? The first thing is, if we remember Krishna, we will avoid offenses of disrespecting Krishna. If we are Krishna conscious, factually, remembering Krishna, Krishna is a doer. Krishna is present everywhere. Now, in deity worship, there are two moods. That there is a deity at home. The deity at home, we see the deity is the owner and the master of the house. But in the temple, it's different. The deity in the temple is like the king who is invited to reside with us. That the deity of the temple, we see it in many temples in India. They are like palaces, and the deity is like a king. That it's a different mood. But now I want to speak about contradictions. Apparent contradictions. We see contradictions by our ignorance. So if one sees a spiritual master, then one should not fail to offer respect to the spiritual master and chant loudly the pranam mantra. But there is another rule that says if we are in front of the deities, we should not offer obeisance to anyone. That, like when the spiritual master enters the temple, we glorify the spiritual master as the representative of Krishna. And at Mangal Arti, we glorify the spiritual master. We sing the Guru Vastakam, 8 verses, Guru Vastaka, 8 verses glorifying the spiritual master. This is Guru Vastaka. Some devotees say Samsara prayer. The prayer of birth and death. That's not an appropriate name. Never use that name for these prayers. It's Guru Vastaka. 8 verses glorifying the spiritual master. So we sing Guru Vastika, glorifying the spiritual master, but we glorify how the spiritual master is serving the Lord. In that way, we are glorifying bhakti. Spiritual master is representative of Krishna. So Lord Krishna is included because he is the object of bhakti. Another contradiction is, if someone has died in the family, then one should not go in front of the deities. But when someone has died in the family, so that's the time we need relief, consolation. So that's the time we should go to the temple. How is that? So the question is, if someone has died in the family, then why should we not go in front of the deities? Why? Because at that time we are distracted by grief. Grief, that is a kind of emotional contamination. Grief is a sign of ignorance. Then we cannot offer proper service to the Lord. Especially at that time, one should not do pujari service. So that is an important element. But then the question is, yes, but someone has died in the family. How do I get relief, consolation? So that's the time I should go to the temple. What is the solution? We can do bhakti in 2 ways. Bhagavat Vidhi and Pancharatra Vidhi. Bhagavat Vidhi is Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, remembering, glorifying the Supreme Lord, hearing of the Bhagavatam. We should hear lectures of Prabhupada, hear the Bhagavatam, intensify that in that way. And you will get relief. That this is 15 years ago when I was in Malaga, where I was preaching regularly. At that time, the temple president, she was a disciple of Prabhupada. And a few years before, she lost her son. He died in a car accident. Her only son. That's heavy for a mother. But when that happened, she started to become depressed, lament. But she started to hear Prabhupada every moment. Every moment she was hearing the lectures of Prabhupada 24 hours a day. She was in the bathroom everywhere. And after 3 days, she came out of it. So Pancharatra Vidhi is mentioned on deity worship. I know some of you are aspiring to get Brahminical initiation and to worship the deity. It is a very good aspiration, but one must get a training. It's not by Brahminical initiation that you can worship the deity. You must be trained in deity worship. And therefore, that is explained in Pancharatna Vidhi. And after this course of Nectar of Devotion, I will present a course on Narada Pancharatra. I will present that course and I will give you the essence. This is not just for those who are going for Brahminical initiation. Pancharatra Vidhi has 5 parts, and the first 3 parts are for everyone. Also the last part. There's only one part which contains specific information about mantras and so on. I will not go deep into that because of the etiquette of explaining that only to those who are Brahmin initiated. But it's a very important course which I will conduct after this overview of Nectar of Devotion. So, and also in Bhagavad Vidhi, you have only a few rules and regulations that is very easy, just hearing, remembering that. But Pancharatra Vidhi, many rules and regulations. And you have to follow them all. Otherwise, you make offense. You must know them. That an example of someone who got relief from grief by Bhagavad Vidhi, by hearing spiritual instructions, was Chitraketu. He was instructed by Angira and Narada Muni. This is a whole story, but a very interesting story. You can learn a lot from that. How he got out of his lamentation very quickly. He understood the reality, the spiritual reality, or the beginning of that reality, that I'm not his body. So, where to take shelter? So if there's no shelter through Pancharatra Vidhi, then it is available to Bhagavad Vidhi. So the purpose of following all these rules and regulations is to avoid aparat. If you follow them, then you will please Krishna. And by following them, you will become more conscious of Lord Krishna and offering proper service. That starts with cooking in the deity kitchen. That the proper mood is, Srila Prabhupada said, and the kitchen should be as clean as an operation theater. Spotlessly clean. And in 1965, 1966, the first marriage was conducted in 26th Street in New York at this Matchless Gift Temple. And I think it was Yamuna because she was there to help to prepare the feast for a first marriage. And Srila Prabhupada asked her to clean a pot, and at the pot at the bottom there was some black stain. And she cleaned it, but not everything went off. And she showed Srila Prabhupada, yes, you clean further. And she was 2-3 hours cleaning out the pot just until everything was clean. that kind of cleanliness. You cook in the kitchen, and after cooking, you mop the floor always, every time when you are finished, with water. You clean the floor very nice, everything. Because that makes you conscious, Krishna conscious. It's for the Lord. So these are principles that make us more conscious, to offering a more and more proper service. It's also important, for those who are engaged in deity worship, they must chant properly the holy names of Krishna. Chant their rounds every day with great attention. So if we avoid offenses while chanting and pray for forgiveness to the Lord for our offenses, then the Lord Krishna will forgive us our offenses committed during deity worship. You will see there are so many rules and regulations. We are bound to make some offenses, imperfections. And while chanting that, we pray for forgiveness for this offense. There are also, at the end, we will see later, we will see prayers for forgiveness. Mantrainam, kriyainam, bhaktinam, we will see that at the end. But the holy name is more merciful than the deity. Why is that? That the holy name can be done by everyone, but deity worship can only be done by Brahmin initiated devotees. You have to go to the temple and so on. Yeah. For chanting the holy name, everyone can chant the holy name, even not initiated. So if I commit offenses, what are the results of committing offenses? We discussed already one, lack of taste. Second, our spiritual progress will be very slow. So, asking forgiveness for committed offenses. Correct mood, wrong mood. Correct mood is a repentant heart that attracts Krishna's compassionate heart. Wrong mood, the wrong mood is, I commit offenses all my life, and at the end of life, I will chant Hare Krishna, will be okay. No, that's the wrong mood. We have seen before that to counteract offenses, to counteract sinful reactions, for this, one must just perform devotional service. It will be forgiven if it's not done willingly and it's accidentally. Because the holy name can remove more sins than a person can commit. That's in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So one must not commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. There are these 10 offenses. So Srila Prabhupada wanted us to post all these 10 offenses in all the temples. We have this written out 10 offenses of course, at the end, we can also chant the standard prayers for asking for offenses after each puchari service. Or you chant one complete chapter of the Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit. I brought that in here as a practice every morning. We read Bhagavad Gita in Sanskrit, that after the Mangal Arti. So then you have, but mostly pujaris who are trained, who are in big temples. It's at the wall, this prayer of forgiveness for offenses. Most pujaris know this prayer by heart, and after each pujari service they pray this prayer. That we should not forget to pray this prayer after each service. And that these are the Aparada Sodan mantras. I just recite them and give you the translation. Mantrainam Kriyainam Bhaktinam Janardana Yat Pushitam Mayadeva Paripurnam Tadastame. My Lord, O Janardan, whatever little puja or worship that has been performed by me, although it is without devotion, without proper mantras, and without a proper performance, please let that become complete. Yadaptam Bhaktimatrana Patam Pushpam Phalamsham Avdita Nivedam Tu Tatjana Kampi. Whatever has been offered with devotion, the leaf, the flower, the water, the food offering, please accept it out of causeless mercy. Vidinam mantrainam yatkishya papaditam kriyamantra vinam vatatsa sarvang santamarasi. Whatever has happened without proper chanting of the mantra or without following the proper procedure, kindly forgive that all. Ashyana atavagyanat asvam yamakritam ksantmarasi tatsarvam dasyanavyanimam. Stitisev yatiryatas midrastindistutir vajam payatsarvat marno vishnamadyam vaisestitam. Whatever inauspicious things I've done out of ignorance or unknowingly, please forgive that and accept me as your insignificant servant. Let my normal condition be service. Let my movement be pilgrimage. Let my thought be a remembrance of you. Let my words be glorification of you, O Vishnu. Let my activities with my whole mind, body, and soul be engaged in you. Then the last part. Aparat Saschanik Handher Nishama, Dasamit Mamat Vakmas Madhusudana. Thousands of offenses are performed by me day and night, but thinking of me as your servant, kindly forgive those, Madhusudan. Pachara Prodha Nami Bhakti Panashati. It is Sanskrit Samrita Pranan Sandaryamam. Govinda, your promise is that your devotee will never perish. By remembering this over and over again, I'm able to retain my life heirs. So these are these prayers for offenses that are prayed in many temples. So in this chapter, it lists 32 offenses in the matter of serving the Lord. And from the Vaya Purana, 29 offenses, and then the 10 offenses of chanting the holy name. That I will discuss some of the points Srila Prabhupada makes here in the purport. One should not fail to observe the various festivals for the pleasure of the Lord, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, such as Janmastami and Ratha Yatra. And there is a warning that Rupa Goswami gives a warning if you don't do that. There are many snakes on Govardhan Hill, and persons neglecting the prescribed duty of Govardhan Puja will be bitten by these snakes and killed. In order to assure the good fortune of the cows and themselves, all people of Vrindavan near Govardhan must worship the hill as prescribed by me. So we should celebrate Govardhan Puja, otherwise we will be bitten by a snake. So Krishna wants us especially to celebrate these festivals. That so one should not fail to observe that. That's not good. That so next, one should not avoid bowing down before the deity. So when we bow down, we have to bow down with our two hands on the floor. Two hands on the floor, not with one hand. Some of us have their feet back, they hold it up, and then with the other hand. No, you put your feet back aside, that's best. Or you at least you touched with your thumb the floor with your right hand while holding your feet back. The two hands must be there. That's so one should not avoid bowing down before the deity, because that's Krishna's instruction. Man madam bhavan mat bhakto machi mam namaskaro. You should bow down for me, offer my respects. Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer homage unto me, thus will come to be without fail. I promise you this. Then there is circumambulating the deity. So auspicious means we are going circumambulating always clockwise, never clockwise. So that's clockwise is auspicious. Even here we make a walk outside. I'm going always clockwise, not counterclockwise. Always, and that's a detail. That, but in deity worship, always clockwise. Circumambulating the deity on the right hand, that such circumambulation of the deity should be performed outside the temple structure at least 3 times daily. So in Mayapur, we go around the temple. That it's inside, but it's outside the temple rooms. That we have Prabhupada here in Mayapur, ringing the bell, that in Mayapur, that Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and with Brahmananda Prabhu. I met Brahmananda Prabhu in Vrindavan, and when I was staying at the MVT, he was so kind and respectful to me that he was already very sick. I met also Tamal Krishna Maharaj just before he passed away. I saw him also the last time. That, yeah, here in the picture, walking with Srila Prabhupada. That, no, before the deity. These are rules. One should not spread his legs before the deity. So always proper asana, and you cover your feet, your ankles, everything. One should not sit before the deities holding the ankles and elbows or knees with one's hand. One should not lie down before the deity of Krishna. One should not sit with his back to the deity. Only when you are in the temple, the small temple here, downstairs, always be aware, don't sit with your back to Prabhupada. It's also a deity. You should sit a little, but never with your back to Prabhupada. Try to avoid it as much as possible. So one should not accept prasad before the deity. That at home also, you have a food to the deity, and then when you are going to take prasad, if it's in the same room, you cover the deities. So that's also an important habit. One should never speak a lie before the deity. That if we act and speak in the bodily concepts of life, it's all lies. So we have to be careful that what we say before the deity. One should not talk very loudly before the deity, always in a peaceful, calm mode, pleasant mode before the deities, not talking loudly. One should not talk with others before the deity. No, yeah, unless the Bhagavatam class glorifying the Supreme Lord. One should not cry of owl before the deity. That's not appropriate. We should not do that. One should not speak very harshly to others before the deity. That's to be avoided. No need to speak harshly. That if a devotee commits an offense and you have to correct, because it's a senior, a junior devotee, then don't speak harshly. Always calmly instruct. That also do not eulogize or praise anyone before the deity. No, we are all fallen persons. Of course, praising a pure devotee, that's something else. It's a pure representative of Krishna. One should not speak ill names before the deity. One should not pass air before the deity. It's just when you come before the deity, the last 3 hours you must have eaten already 3 hours before. That your food must be digested. That then you come before the deity. That one should not engage himself in the worship of the Lord while seeing a non-devotee. No, it's confidential service to the Lord, only for devotees. So one should not quarrel or fight before the deity. These are all questions of behavior. So one should not chastise anyone before the deity. One should not be charitable to beggars before the deity. One should not wear a fur blanket before the deity. All small rules. Also, one should not be carried in a palanquin into the temple. That's also Anyway, we have here Mother Narayani. She's showing us her Govardhan Sila, which she worships for many, many, many years. Very nice worship. Yes. So, one should be respectful in their behavior towards pujaris. One should not show disrespect to scripture teaching about the supremacy of the Lord. One should not introduce any opposing scripture. That is the behavior of pujaris. They must be quite cultured. Also, when you do deity worship, you cannot eat anything which is not of Krishna Prasad. It is not being offered to Krishna. So like you have the stories mentioned here that Bimal Prasad, Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati, at a young age he took a mango for eating, but then Bhaktivinoda said, oh, this was meant for the deity, and he rebuked him, mildly rebuked him. And Bimal Prasad later Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati felt an offender his whole life, and he never ate a mango anymore. That is quite a severe decision. That's also that one should offer fruits according to the season. It's in many. It's a culture that the first harvest collection, the first is offered to the Lord. That, but also according to the season. That so one should not offer any foodstuff to the deity which is seen by dogs or lower animals, because their consciousness enters in it. It's as a Brahman, one must be control his mind and his consciousness, because that enters the food. That if sometimes I come in temples and someone wants to cook for me, and I ask, do they are chanting 16 rounds? No, then I don't want them to cook for me. That's dangerous. That can make a sannyasi fall down if there is lust in the cooking or whatever, because Krishna will not accept. Krishna wants a devotion, you say. That's important. That cooking. So one should not offer foodstuffs which is cooked by non-devotee. I buy something in a shop that is made there and then I offer it. No, you cannot do that. If you are a pujari, you have to follow these rules. It means lifestyle. Not just I worship the deity, it's your lifestyle that makes you pure. And with that purity, that is your eligibility to worship the deity. So one should not offer obeisance silently to the spiritual master. No, you bow down to Prabhupada and say, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pistaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namni, loudly. So one should recite the prayers to the spiritual master loudly while offering obeisance. So one should not fail to offer some praise in the presence of the spiritual master, but one should not praise himself before the spiritual master. So that behavior must be there. If we want to make spiritual advancement, if we want to do deity worship, we must have that appropriate behavior. One should not deride the demigods before the deity. We are not worshipping the deity, the demigods, but we respect them. Don't deride them. Then there are so many specific rules for pujaris. One should not touch the deity in a dark room. First you put on the light. One should not fail to strictly follow the rules and regulations in worshipping the deity. There are many rules, only using your right hand, so many things. One should not break silence while worshipping. One should not enter the deity room or touch the body of the deity after having smeared oil over his body. And then, when we enter the temple, we should make some sound. Ring the bell, knock the door, but make some sound. One should not enter the temple until one has fully digested his food. I already explained that. Yeah. One should not pass urine, evacuate while engaged in worship. One should not fail to wash his teeth carefully every day. One should not touch the deity before one has completed taking bath. One should not enter the temple without washing his hands and feet. When a person is perspiring, he should not engage himself in the worship of the deity. If we offer incense, we have always to offer a flower together, not without flower. The flower should be nice. That useless flowers should not be offered. which one should not offer a flower kept in an unclean pot. When we worship the Lord, we should be sitting not on the bare floor, but have a sitting place of carpet. So that's this special mats are there. One should not be bathed, the deity should not be bathed in water that is touched by the nails of fingers. Normally when we have water forbidding the deities, we put our finger on top, but without touching the nail, the water, and we say a mantra which turns the water into Ganga water. That pujaris know that we should be respectful for prasad. One should not cross or step over flowers offered to the deities. Then Srila Prabhupada speaks about, in the purport about Ganapati. That Ganapati is like a disciple of Nrsingadev. Nrsingadev, it takes away the spiritual obstacles for our service, and Ganapati takes away the material impediments. So Ganapati drives away impediments also in the execution of the devotional service. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that Ganapati worships the lotus feet of Lord Nrsingadev. In that way, has become auspicious for the devotees in clearing all impediments. There's a letter of Srila Prabhupada to Sudam and also to Sivananda that so far worshipping Ganesh is concerned, that is not necessary. Not that it should be done on a regular basis. If you like, you can pray to Ganapati for removing all impediments on the path of Krishna consciousness. That you can do if you like. So Srila Prabhupada said, if you like. Not necessary, but if you like. Sudam, the Ganesh Puja may not be performed. No, it is not to be done. No need of it. Then there is a statement of the Padma Purana. When a person becomes an offender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he can still be delivered simply by taking shelter of the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we have then at the end, Srila Prabhupada speaks about the 10 offenses. 10 offenses against the holy name. That and the first is the first is to blaspheme the devotees who dedicate their lives for the propagating the holy name of the Lord. So one who worships the deities must properly behave towards devotees. One who is pujari. That one must be of good character. That good character and good behavior, cultured behavior, and many of these points are already mentioned, what that means in terms of deity worship. And to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, thinking them to be equal or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Sometimes the atheistic class of man takes it that any demigod is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. But one who is a devotee who knows that no demigod, however great he may be, is independently as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, if someone thinks that he can chant Kali, Kali, or Durga, Durga, and at the same time Hare Krishna, that is the greatest offense. Just a comment. And then these offenses that you know, to disobey the spiritual mass, disobey the order of the spiritual mass, to blaspheme the Vedic literature, or later shame persons of the Vedic version, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination, to give some interpretation of the holy name of the Lord, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspiciously ritualistic activities of within the Vedas as fruitive activities. 9, to inflict a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Anyone can take part in the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, but in the beginning one should not be instructed about the transcendental potency of the Lord. Those who are too sinful cannot appreciate the transcendental glories of the Lord, and therefore it's better not to instruct them in this matter. Krishna says that also at the end of Bhagavad Gita. Oh, Arjuna, you can instruct this knowledge to those who are pious, but you cannot instruct them to those who are, you can instruct it to my devotees, but you cannot instruct it to those who are not my devotees and who are not austere. So we have to be careful that to give that information about the holy name to everyone without consideration. But we can induce them to chant Hare Krishna and then explain the details later. But 8, consider the chanting of the. So we mentioned them. And this last offense, do not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy name, and to maintain material attachment even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. So we went to so many offenses, rules, and regulations, and it's only a small part of what's mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion. More of them are mentioned in Hari Bhakti Vilas about how a devotee who should live, who engage, especially those engaged in deity worship. So, any questions, please?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, is Navnit Jor here.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, in the class you said one should not accept prasad before the deity.
Yeah.
No, like in Soho, they close the curtains and then devotees take prasad in the temple room. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay. That they do in many temples like that. But of course, then you have the temple room and you have the deity room. You cannot eat in the deity room, but in the temple room you can eat when it's closed. Yes, that's right. They do that in many temples. Also in Vrindavan, we have big feasts sometimes on appearance days. Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Hi, Krishna Maharaj.
Hi, Krishna.
This is Amita. Thank you for the wonderful class.
Hi,
I just want to understand that all the rules that you have mentioned, is that all hold true for even home worship?
Yes. Yes, sure. Also in home worship. That if we go to the course of Narada Pancharatra, there it is mentioned there is only one standard of worship, and that's Pancharatra. That's the standard of worship, and that is to be followed. That. So what was your question again? That Can you repeat it
Oh,
again?
yeah. So all the rules that we are talking about, not eating in the room and all, or everything, is that all needs? Is there any flexibility for DT work? I mean, for these standard when you are doing DT worship at home, or it has to be
Yeah.
followed strictly like that? No,
there is only one standard of deity worship. That's a concoction that there are different standards. That's introduced somewhere or another, but the deity worship is a supreme personality of Godhead. It's not that in the temple, the deity at home is less than in the temple. There is only one way of worshipping the deity. There may be less offerings at home than in the temple. That may be that, but in principle there is one worship, Pancharatra Vidhi. Like it is an offense not to bathe the deity in the morning. You take also a bath. You have to bathe the deity in the morning. And for that you need to be a Brahmin. So deity worship is for Brahmins. If you don't have Brahmin initiation, you cannot worship deities. That then you do your worship with a picture, not with deities. I'm sorry, but that is what the scriptures say. That's very strict. That's only for Brahmins. Brahmin initiated devotees. They can worship the deities, and they have to follow because they must follow all these rules. So in principle, there is only one standard, and that is the standard as Pancharatra Vidhi.
And just one more question. You said to chant Vedhinam Kriyahinam, and that verse, and there are a few more you said. Do we need to chant all the four, or we need to chant Vedhinam Kriyahinam during?
All the four. That takes less than a minute. When I was Pujari in Radha Deshvarada Gopinatha, after that, that's just a minute, and you know it by heart because you chant it every day. So
yeah, because I don't know all the four. I just know one, so I think I need to learn that. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Something else?
Hare Krishna.
Sorry. Hare Krishna, Vatsadulali, yeah.
Sorry if I interrupted someone to ask a question. Thank you so much for class. My question is, when you finished serving the deities, you gave 2 pointers regarding saying the forgiveness mantra and to chant a chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Is it better to do 2 or 1 or either or?
It doesn't matter. You can do either that or chant mantras for forgiveness or chant a chapter of Bhagavad Gita. But it's a good practice for devotees to chant every morning a chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It really doesn't take long. We do it here after Mangal Arti. Mostly I'm alone because the Pujari is washing the plates and I'm chanting a chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and it takes 3-4 minutes. It's just, of course, I'm used to pronounce the Sanskrit. In the beginning, it may go a little slower, but it's a good habit. But of course, you get more benefit by it if you know what the verses mean. But I think most of you are from Indian background. It should be no problem to get some feeling for that very quickly.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Something else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class.
Hare Krishna.
The deity worship, so who are not Brahmin initiated, so you can worship the photographs of the lordships. Can we also worship the some sort of idol which are not strictly deities, where you don't have to dress them up or anything like that, so just simple idols? Is that okay?
No, normally not. It's either a picture over deity. But if you are not Brahmin initiated and you worship deities, I don't advise you to stop it, but become qualified. Follow these rules and become qualified. That's what I'm saying. That in principle, if you worship the deity only after permission of the spiritual master. But if you do, don't stop it, but become qualified. Try to study these things and implement them and improve your worship and chant the mantras for offenses. That's all right?
Okay, Maharaj, thank you very much.
Okay, good. Then thank you very much. It has been an interesting chapter. Next week, we probably Tuesday and Friday to be confirmed. We will continue with further aspects of devotional service. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Bo.
Krishna.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.